All right, let's talk about a fundamental shift that's happening in the world of work. It's affecting millions of us, especially young people, and it's not just changing how we make a living, it's actually reshaping the very fabric of our economy. For generations, the whole idea was to get a stable, predictable career. You'd join a company, you'd stick with it, and you'd retire with a pension. Well, that world, for a huge number of people, is just fading away. And what's replacing it is something way more fragmented, and for a lot of folks, a lot less secure. And look, this didn't just happen overnight. It's a trend that's been building for about 2 decades now. We've seen this slow, steady erosion of stable, permanent contracts, and in their place, a huge surge in temporary work, especially right across Europe. But here's the thing about this brave new world of work. It's not the same experience for everybody. Not even close. Whether this is an amazing opportunity or, a terrifying tightrope walk, it really all depends on who you are. There are definite winners, and there are for sure some definite losers. And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale of this change, get a load of this. In a country like Spain, almost 70% of young workers are on fixed-term contracts. We're not talking about a niche group here. This is the reality for an entire generation just trying to get started. So this new landscape, it's got a name you've probably heard a million times, the gig economy. But what does that actually mean? At its core, the gig economy is really all about fragmentation. Work isn't seen as a single continuous role anymore. Instead, it gets broken down into these individual tasks, or gigs. A perfect example is an Uber driver. They're not a contracted employee of Uber, right? They're a service provider on a platform, and they get paid for each individual ride. The job has literally become a task. Now, for a lot of people, this sounds absolutely fantastic, and we have to understand that there is a really powerful, positive story around this way of working. It's the dream of freedom and flexibility. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? It captures this huge cultural shift. The ideal is no longer being the salaryman in a suit for 20 years. Instead, the new dream is to be an entrepreneur, to build something yourself, to be your own boss. And the appeal is pretty obvious. You get more flexibility, more control over your own time, and a chance to do work that feels creative and fulfilling. And you know what? Surveys of self-employed people totally back this up. They consistently say they prefer this to some dull, routine, full-time job. But, and believe me, this is a huge but, there are two sides to this coin. And this slide illustrates perfectly how that dream can flip into a very different reality. That flexibility can easily mean total insecurity. Autonomy can mean you get zero benefits. And creativity, well, that can be a myth when you have absolutely no real control. So let's flip that coin over and take a hard look at the other side, the precarious, insecure nature of this work. It's so widespread, it's actually given rise to a new and, honestly, a much more unsettling term. The precariat. I mean, it just sounds way more sinister than the friendly, artsy gig economy, and for good reason. It describes this growing class of people who are living with constant unpredictability, constant insecurity, never really knowing where the next paycheck is coming from. And the downside here is just severe. We're talking no job security, no pensions, no employer-sponsored health care. This makes basic life stuff like trying to get a mortgage or even just renting an apartment incredibly difficult when you're just constantly trying to patch together different bits of work to survive. And we have to be super clear about this. Self-employed covers a massive spectrum. At one end, you've got an experienced professional consultant who has chosen this life for the flexibility and the control. But at the complete other end, you have someone on a 0-hours contract, meaning they have no guaranteed hours, cleaning a hospital with zero control and total insecurity. These experiences are worlds apart. So all these individual experiences, they don't exist in a vacuum. They all add up. And when they do, they have these massive implications for the entire economy. Let's zoom out and look at that bigger picture. This is the question that big organizations like the OECD are starting to ask, and it is a critical one. I mean, think about it. If you have a whole generation of people just churning between temporary jobs, who is investing in their skills? The employer has no incentive to, and the worker often can't afford to. So, who does? The risks here for everyone are enormous. We could literally be creating an entire generation of undertrained workers. And in the long run, that means lower productivity for the whole country and potentially stifled innovation. Because innovation comes from deep skills and real investment. At the very heart of this problem is this giant, dangerous mismatch. We have a 21st century labor market that's built on fragmented, flexible work. But we have a 20th century benefit system, things like pensions, healthcare, unemployment insurance, that was all designed for and attached to long-term stable employment. The two just don't fit together anymore. So the new world of work is here. It's not going anywhere. It offers freedom for some and a whole lot of insecurity for many. The big unanswered question isn't whether this change is happening. It is. The question is whether our society is ready for it. Our economy has clearly evolved, but have our safety nets? And what happens if they don't catch up?